طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. طيب correct. What I would like to do in today's 1 hour and just under 20 minutes, inshallah, is to basically to cover a couple of smaller materials and then start with the Jarh wa Ta'dil, which we have spoken about. We touched on it, we mentioned it a couple of times, but we did not really dive into it. So today it will be the time to do that, bi'idhnillah. So my first thing that I want to do here is just I want to show you. Okay, I need to move this around. Let's do this. Yeah, this one. So I suppose you still can see the book. So this is the book that in Arabic that got translated, Taysir Mustalah al-Hadith. What I have in here is the index of this book. I can just make it a little bigger. All right. So quickly, I just want to take a few things. So this is the history of, this is the index of the book. So في نشأة علم المصطلح, this is the history. We spoke about history a few times. So this is the first portion in here. Second, and then he speaks here about mutawatir and ahad, which we talk mutawatir and ahad. This we covered, explained them. And then he spoke about khabar al-ahad. He provided the subsectors. He spoke about the mashhur, the aziz, and the gharib. Those we explained them as well. So this is covered. Let me just put this in here to get more organized. So this we covered. And then he was speaking about the quality of the hadith ahad, and he said that part of it is accepted and part of it is not accepted. The accepted is the one that is sahih. Hassan will talk about it a little bit today, inshallah. And we spoke a little bit about sahih li ghayrihi, but actually it's just it's a very small subsection of sahih and hasan. So those we touched on them, but halfway. Those we did not take them the way that we have not taken those. المحكم ومختلف الحديث we didn't take them. ناسخ منسوخ we didn't take them. Then he spoke here about the hadith which is refused or not accepted, and he spoke about hadith al-da'if, and he spoke about the reason why it becomes da'if, and he spoke about hadith al-mu'allaq. Hadith al-mu'allaq, we spoke about it last time. Al-mursal we did last time. Al-mu'dal we did. Al-munqati' we did. Saqt al-khafi we did not talk about this. Al-mudallas we spoke about it much earlier. I don't know how many of you attended it, but this we did take it. Obviously we can take it again. All right. Al-mursal khafi we did not take it. This is like, it's just it's not a topic on its own. And then from here we did not take those. Those we did not take them. We took the shaz, we took the mu'allal. Al-mudraj we took it. This we did not take. Actually, mukhalafa al-thiqat is part of the shaz. I'm going to just put half a mark in here. And those we did not take. Here he would speak about descriptions that are applicable to hadith, whether they are sahih or da'if. It's a term that could be used for both. So hadith al-Qudsi, al-hadith al-marfu', al-mawquf, wal-maqtu', and these were covered last time. And early on, we spoke about al-musnad, wal-muttasil. We did not take this one. We did take last time also al-i'tibar, wal-mutabi' wal-shahid. So this covers mostly the stuff that we have done so far. And now this is the big second chapter, is regarding the narrators and the quality of the narrators. So we're no longer speaking about the isnad itself, we're speaking about the quality of the narrators. And this is where we are going to focus a lot of our time on today, inshallah. So let me just save this index, and I will make it available for you to look at this check marks if you'd like to just review it again. If there are any parts of this topics that we covered or did not cover that you would like that we go over again, by all means, please let me know. So is there any questions over here? By the way, if anybody is putting any, writing anything on the chat, I don't get to see it. Here, I opened the chat window. However, I'm not, I don't pay a lot of attention, so please speak up and let me know. Any questions so far about this index that we're looking at?
Sheikh, just really quickly, what's the mudraj again?
Al-mudraj is the part, a word that gets, filters inside the wordings of the Prophet ﷺ, but it does not belong to the Prophet ﷺ. Because of the way that the narrators narrated the hadith. When a person is listening to the hadith, he would think that this foreign word is from the words of the Prophet ﷺ, while actually it's not. So, for example, there's a hadith, لولا الجهاد وبر أمي. So it says, has it not been for jihad and giving birth to my mother? But we know that the mother of the Prophet ﷺ, mother was not around. So that part is definitely from Abu Hurairah. It was not from the Prophet ﷺ. So that word, even though it might be between the two quotation marks when you see it in the hadith, but the scholars have ruled that this is definitely from Abu Hurairah. It's not from the Prophet ﷺ. Does that clarify it a little bit?
Yeah, and you mentioned it's one of the ilal.
Yeah, why? Because if this hadith that has this mudraj word has a good isnad, an authentic isnad, then mathematically and academically, when you look at the isnad, you would say, oh, this must be a hadith sahih. But in reality, there's something that happened. We don't know how this word got in, and we cannot say that this is hadith sahih. The hadith sahih is the one without this word. It is sahih from the words of Abu Hurairah. It's not sahih from the words of the Prophet ﷺ. So if someone said, قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لولا الجهاد وبر أمي, we will say this is not sahih. The Prophet ﷺ said لولا الجهاد and the remainder of the hadith. However, it's not sahih that Abu Hurairah said, narrating from the Prophet ﷺ, لولا الجهاد, and then he added his own personal circumstances. And he said, and also because my mom is around and she needs me and she's dependent on me, I cannot do X, Y, Z. That part is hadith sahih. So yes, it would be considered illa if you did not identify that there is a foreign words among the words of the Prophet ﷺ. That fine?
Yes, yes.
All right, inshallah. So let's go, okay, here. Now, so we spoke about the hadith sahih, and I'm going to just make this a little bit bigger. And this is the hadith al-Hasan. So the hadith al-Hasan, I just want to stop a little bit more about the names of the narrators. Literally, it means beautiful. However, technically, it means a sanad that is connected from the beginning to the end by narrators of whom is adl at a lesser degree of dabat without having any shuzuz or illa. So the 5 rulings that apply to hadith sahih are applicable here as well. There's no difference. The only difference is that the quality of the relaying of the hadith, the dabt, the memorization, the accuracy in narrating the hadith of those ruwat, of those narrators, or one of them is below the sahih, but higher than da'if, in that second range, if you want to. So its ruling is that it's used as a proof. It could be used just like hadith sahih. So if we have a hadith that its isnad is hasan, then we can use it to extract from it halal and haram and becomes binding. It's not optional. It's not voluntary. It's not like hadith al-da'if. Hadith al-da'if, there's a ruling that comes from a hadith da'if, you're not obliged by it. You're not bound by it. But if you respect it, you know what, you're being on the safe side. But when a hadith comes from isnad that's hasan, then it is the fuqaha will adopt it and they will use it as a base to extract from it fiqh rulings. And even hadith al-hasan, it has within it different shades and grades. So at the top grade, he says, its highest rank is Bahz ibn Hakim. And here's the isnad, I wrote it over here. Bahz ibn Hakim, he narrated عن أبيه عن جده. So his father is Hakim bin Muawiyah and his grandfather is Muawiyah ibn Haida. So Muawiyah is a Sahabi, he's the grandfather. He gave the hadith to his son Hakim, and Hakim gives this hadith to his son as well, who is the grandchild of Muawiyah, and his name is Bahz. This is a very famous isnad, is very known. So they will always say Bahz ibn Hakim عن أبيه عن جده. So Bahz ibn Hakim from his father, from his grandfather. This is one type. And there's another type, Amr bin Shu'aib an abihi an jaddihi. It's similar to this isnad. The only difference is that this other isnad, it's not son, father, grandfather. It's son, father, and then the grandfather of this one. Because in this other isnad, the father of this person, he passed away and he was raised by his grandfather. So the damir, the wording of the isnad might be the same, but it means and points to different people. And the grandfather in that isnad in here is Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, who is one of the most abundant narrators. So the other one is, where is it? Amr ibn Shu'aib an abihi عن جده, and there's other one, Ibn Ishaq عن التيمي, and so on. So, and similar narrations, which were said to be sahih, although they are from the very lowest ranks of sahih. So, I mean, those are names of asanid that are borderline between hasan and sahih. So they are way far from being da'if. They could have been marked as sahih, but they were a little weaker, so they are strongly inside the hasan area. Now, the lower part of it, next in rank, is where there is difference. The scholars are not, they don't have the same opinion. They differ among each other over it being hasan or da'if. So now we have narrators that the scholars, some of them say, okay, they are acceptable, and others say, no, they're not acceptable. That's a way different, ranking than the above one. So, such as the narrations of Al-Haris ibn Abdullah, Al-Haris ibn Abdullah al-Awar over here, and Asim ibn Damra, and Al-Hajjaj ibn Arta, and others like them. So, this is the second ranking of Hadith Hasan. As you can see in here, some scholars, you will find that they probably would say, we would not accept to rank it at Hasan. We consider it to be da'if, and other scholars will make it at Hasan. That's why this ranking here is only for some scholars. But the ranking here, everybody agrees that it is acceptable in general. So here there's an example that Sheikh Mahmoud, he used. As an example is what the Tirmidhi has collected or has narrated in his collection, saying, حدثنا قتيبة حدثنا جعفر بن سليمان الضبعي عن أبي عمران الجوني عن أبي بكر بن أبي موسى الأشعري, that he said سمعت أبي. So as we see here, we have this narrator, Abi Bakr ibn Abi Musa, the Sahabi, the very famous Sahabi who is Abi Musa al-Ash'ari, has a son, his name is Abu Bakr. and Abu Bakr is narrating this hadith and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. So this is the isnad. So what about this isnad? As you can see here, Ja'far ibn Sulaiman al-Duba'i narrated to us from Abu Imran al-Jawni, from Abu Bakr ibn Abi Musa al-Ash'ari, who said, I heard my father saying in the presence of the enemy to the end of the hadith. So this, At-Tirmidhi said, this hadith is Hasan, Gharib. So what does he mean by Gharib exactly? It's something that you would have to go and research to find out what he meant by Gharib. Did he meant by Gharib that it had a problem, or Gharib it came with a single isnad? Because if you remember, we said Gharib is a hadith that comes from a very singular path. There's not two, there's only one path. It doesn't have to be all the way one path, but at least it converges at some level through a single narrator. He's the only one who has this hadith. This is why did he rate it as such? This is because the four narrators in its isnad are thiqat. Thiqat are acceptable narrators. They are dependable narrators, except Ja'far ibn Sulaiman. What about Ja'far ibn Sulaiman? He is saduq, so that is a quality that we will come back to. Don't remember it now because we will come back to here. And this is why the hadith is lowered from the rank of being sahih to the rank of being hasan, because the existence of Ja'far bin Sulaim, because of this guy here. This guy here brought the whole isnad down. This guy is good, this guy is good, this guy is good, Sahabi, so we have no issue. It's connected and what have you. But when we came over here to Ja'far ibn Sulaiman al-Daba'i, we had a problem with him. He was not at the same level as the other narrators. So we had to downgrade the hadith. All right. Any questions about this example or the definition actually Hadith al-Hasan, its definition is Hadith Sahih with a weaker or more than one weaker narrator. That's it. It doesn't change very much from the Hadith Sahih. Is there any questions so far?
Sheikh, what if his adil is lower, not his dabat?
I'll say that again, please.
What if his adil is lower than that of the others?
Adil, this becomes a little trickier. So what you're saying, let's say that his memory and his delivery and accuracy is perfect.
Yes.
But he's questionable in his character.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, the character is almost a binary thing. So either in or out. There's no gray area between it. So sometimes, Bahz ibn Hakim, Bahz ibn Hakim, one scholar came over to take hadith from him, and he saw him playing chess. So the scholar turned around and left. He said that was not a quality of scholars that I was looking for. So would you consider that to be an actual, reason for his hadith not to be taken? So it's for them, it's either yes or no. And something that comes more into the picture is whether he has, he leans toward a madhab that's not Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. For example, either a madhab in Aqeedah or madhab in political and so on. This is what they have already, especially when it comes to Shia. So the scholars have said, if a narrator position towards Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Sayyidina Umar and Sayyidina Osman is XYZ, then we will accept him. But if his position is ABC, we will not accept him. So it's either in or out. It's fairly specific. It's different, definitely different than the accuracy of memory. I think you would see a lot of this, and Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in general, they will accept the narrators who lean a little bit or a lot towards Sayyidina Ali, but they become more sensitive when they have animosity towards Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar. And they would selectively take some hadiths from those who are anti-Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Umar. But the fact that we record their hadith, whether you consider it sahih or not, this is irrelevant at this point. but we are collecting their hadith, and there are a huge number of narrators who are pro Sayyidina Ali politically, and their hadith is existent in our books, and it's there. So yeah, it is a good question. طيب. This is what I want now.
Shazia, one more question. On the topic of Aqidah, because you mentioned that a Hasan hadith can establish halal or haram.
Yes.
So if someone were to disbelieve in a ruling, like to say this isn't part of Islam, a ruling that's based on a Hasan hadith, is his Aqidah sound?
So it depends on why he's saying that. Is it because he didn't like the matan of the hadith, he didn't like what the hadith delivered, or because he did a research and he came out to a conclusion that there is issues with the isnad of the hadith and he does not agree that it's actually Hasan? As if he's saying, I don't believe the Prophet ﷺ said it. But if he did not even look in the isnad, or not qualified to look in the isnad, and he's taking a position based on the meaning of the matan that it did not suit his own taste, then this is very dangerous, because at this point in time, he's as if he's refusing what the Prophet ﷺ might have said. So you have to see why this is. And we said a similar thing about mutawatir, which is a lot more dangerous. Forget about hadith Hasan. If somebody says about a hadith that came through a mutawatir path, he said, I don't accept it. We have to find out why you don't accept it. If he did some kind of a research work and he says, you know what, I don't think this is actually mutawatir, that's one thing. And if he said, I don't like the matan, regardless whether it's sahih or not, that person is very close to the line of refusing the Prophet ﷺ. So for the hadith al-Hasan, it's the same situation. If the person is qualified and made a judgment that this hadith is not sahih, fair and square. That's if he's qualified, then you know what, then he's qualified. If he's not qualified, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge him because he went out of his way, and he should not have gone to that part. But yes, hadith al-Hasan for the most fuqaha is something that is accepted, and the majority of the ahadith out there are ahadith Hasani. It's not ahadith sahiha. The majority is hadith Hasan, and that's why it's important to collect as many hadiths, because sometimes the hadith is, the isnad is Hasan, but there's 2-3 asanid next to each other. They pull together and they support each other. And at that point in time, it becomes we have more confidence in what these hadiths delivered. But that also remains important because it's not conclusive either. And you would find it in the books of the fuqaha all the time. Not only hadith Hasan, at least hadith Hasan is hadith connected from beginning till the end. Sometimes fuqaha in their books, they would use a hadith mursal. If you remember, hadith mursal is the one when a tabi'i, who is a student of the sahabi, would relay a saying about the Prophet ﷺ with a missing part of the isnad. The books of fuqaha is filled with those things. And those are used for some fuqah as a supporting material, but not as core material. Like, let's move. Let's move on to, I think, page 48.
Sheikh, could you just point the mouse to where you're reading so we can follow along?
Okay. Can you not see my pen, the cursor?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. But...
Okay, I use the cursor, but I think what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to use red instead, just so that I can erase it later on.
Okay.
All right. Right. So I jumped to the Jarh wa Ta'dil, to the section that I showed you on the index of the book, that now is talking about the narrators and the grading of those narrators. This is the second half of Ulum al-Hadith. So all the time spent is one half, and this is the other half. And those two are indirectly related. But as we speak here right now, we're not talking anything about asanid, whether it's connected or not connected. We're only talking about how do they rate, or how do I understand their rating of the narrators. So those narrators are grouped again into two groups. narrators that are considered within the domain of ta'dil. Ta'dil is like accepted. Or majruhin. Majruhin, it means they're not accepted, or it means their character or their accuracy of delivery is wounded. Majruhin yani wounded. This is what majruh means. So they got the quality of what they deliver has been wounded. This is second part. First, we're going to just talk about the first part, which is al-mu'addalun, the people who are accepted. If you remember, okay, let me just put here, go. Maybe if I go with highlight. So we said that for a narrator to be thiqa, he need to have two things. He need to be adl and dabit. Al-adl is his character, and dabit is his memory and receiving the material and delivering the material. It could be through memorization or it could be through written. The summation of those two gives a person, a narrator who is thiqa. So this is our reference. So what terms did they use in order to define those narrators? Let me move on. Okay. So gradings of ta'dil underwent stages of development and finally settled on the following 6. Okay, that's what I want to do it. Number 1 is when the narrator is described with something like maximum description. So superlative form, indicating narrator is a thiqa. For example, athbatun nas. Athbatun nas in Arabic, it means he's the most firm of the people, firm in the delivery. Like thabit, it means you could try to quiz him, to shake him, to trick him, trying to change the wording of the hadith that he delivers, but he's always anchored. He's one of the most anchored people. He would deliver the hadith exactly the same way all the time, every time, over the years. He doesn't change. So they give him that he is the most of the firmest people. There's another term, awsaqun nas, which it's also a superlative verb or a noun. Awsaqun nas min thiqa, but he's the most thiqa. What else in here? Or the scholar might say, he's one of the most thiqa person I have encountered. So this is the highest level, and it's level number 1. Level number 2, similar, but it's not, this one is like as if he's saying he's the top. There's nobody above him. Number 2 is giving him extra grades, confirmation, but he did not say that he was the top. It doesn't take away very much from him, but it is only a different way of expressing it, and they gave the first one that the level it deserved, and this is the second one. It's the next one. It's an excellent one, but the second excellent one. By using 1 or 2 descriptions indicating narrator is thiqa. For example, thiqatun thiqa. If he didn't, when someone was asked about a narrator, he just didn't say thiqa. He said thiqa. Thiqa twice. Thiqatun thiqa. He's just as if I'm confirming that he's thiqa. Actually, one of the scholars, he was asked about another person. He counted thiqa 9 times. Or he could use 2 different terms. For example, thiqatun thabtun. He is thiqa and he is very strongly anchored. Thiqatun hujja. He is like hujja is like he is almost a reference in this. You wanna, if you want to have an evidence or a proof over another person, you just say, well, this scholar told me something. He becomes your reference. So thiqatun hujja or thiqatun ma'mun, which means he's thiqa and he's ma'mun, he is like trustworthy. When they describe any narrator with multiple terms like those, they fall into the second degree. They give us a very good sense of comfort that those narrators are the ones that we would love to see them all the time. The third one is the most common one. When it's only a singular term, it's a quality term, single term, and these are your mainstream narrators that are thiqat, because those are the top of your class. And this is like all the good people who get really good marks. they are, you know, they did very well on their exam, but they are not the one who aced it like the very first two. So in the case, a narrator is a thiqa, but without emphasis. For example, you ask a scholar about this narrator and he would say he's thiqa, or he would use one term, or another term, he would say he's hujja, or thabt, or he's like a mushaf. Why? Because a mushaf has no mistakes. He would say sometimes like a mushaf. أو عدل ضابط. What's عدل ضابط? عدل ضابط is ثقة. So any of those terms are the mainstream ثقات that you would find all the places. All right. Right. Number 4, we come now to a different zone. Is there any questions about those 3 so far? Already. Number 4 indicates ta'dil. So when you ask a scholar about a narrator, he would give him a positive review, a validation, but without sense of dabt, as if he's saying he's a good character, good person, but the scholar whom you ask did not commit in giving you a judgment on about the quality of his narrations. So, for example, if you ask someone and he will tell you saduq. Saduq is a word, the root of it is sadq, truth, truthful. Saduq, it means like he is extra truthful. He is certainly truthful. Okay, thank you, but can I depend on what he's narrating? Is his memory good enough? This scholar did not commit. He gave you half of the answer. You asked about these 2 on top in here. He told you this, but he didn't tell you this. He didn't commit. So that's the word saduq. Or he might say something else like mahalluhu saduq or mahalluhu as-sadq. Same thing. It's like if you need to place people, you take this person and place him in the group of people who are truthful. Again, he did not commit. He didn't tell you anything about what his opinion regarding the quality of his narration. Or he might say something like لا بأس به. لا بأس به. لا بأس به is also like almost saying something borderline. Remember, those things, some of the language will give you part of the indication, but in the end, those are terms that have been used by the scholars, and they have their own usages for them, and that's why Mustalah Hadith is something that you would have to learn. You cannot just deduce it by being a master at Arabic, because this la ba'sa bihi, you could mean via multiple things. You don't know what it is. So you have to go and deduce by collecting all the la ba'sa bihi that has been used to find the actual intended meaning from it. So this area here, number 4, is a battleground, because many narrators fall in here, and different scholars will use different terms that fall in this area in here. And these are the much of the narrators who fall in the Hadith Hasan. The top guys are always in the Sahih with no issues. This number 4 is a question. Are they in Hasan or are they in Da'if? Since he only gave me a indication regarding whether this narrator is truthful or not, his character is good or not, but did he also give me an indication of whether that narrator is also accurate in his receiving the hadith and delivering it? This is the battleground over here. And that's why you would find many hadith that some scholars will accept and other scholars would not. And this requires from you a lot of patience, a lot of being careful at what you read, and being meticulous and understanding what the material in front of you. All right. So saduq mahalluhu as-sadq. This is number 4. Number 5, neither indicates the narrator is thiqa nor disparages him. So number 5 is when you ask a scholar about a narrator, he doesn't give you a positive review, he doesn't give you a negative review. He's almost neutral, because either that there's not enough information about them, or he was not able to judge on which side this person is. He didn't give you anything about it. So for example, terms used in here is sheikh. Now you say Sheikh Flynn, like you consider it like to be a term of endearing. But for muhaddithin, when you say, what do you think about Ahmed bin Thabit? Well, like Sheikh, that's like whatever, Sheikh. This is what they mean by it. Example, Sheikh, or another terms they might use, Rawa anhu nas. People narrated, like he was there, he had a book, he narrated, and people collected this hadith and narrated it. But he did not say that he's worthy to be narrated of. Just people did it, and like he's trying not to commit. Another term, ila sidqi ma huwa. He is close to being truthful. He didn't say he's saduq. Saduq is like defined. Ila sidqi ma huwa, like he's approaching saduq, as if like he wants to be among the accepted narrators, and I cannot be certain. Or sometimes they say shaykhun wasat, or wasat, like middle, wasat. Wasat, it means middle, but in Arabic, when you say someone wasat, you're almost telling me that he's not good. As wasat is some grade you get in an exam, you get excellent, good, wasat. Wasat is like okay, just take your book and leave, or take your paper and leave. That's what wasat means. And finally, number 6 indicates being near disparagement. Like when you ask that scholar about this narrator, he was about to say he's not good, but he held himself back and said something that just a hairline far from that. For example, Salihul Hadith. So his hadith is Salih, Salihul Hadith. So linguistically, Salihul Hadith, it means this hadith is Salih, which is good. No, this is almost a term that's used to indicate that it was only very close, his hadith, to be refused and not worthy of your time. Or another term, yuktabu hadithu. You might write his hadith. He's not encouraging to write it. He just, you might write it if you want to. أو يعتبر به. يعتبر به, this is, it's an important term, which means that if you have a number of other asanid with other narrators, and there's one word or one thing that you're not sure about, if this isnad came with this person in it, he could tip the balance to one or the other. But on his own capacity, he doesn't stand on his feet, but he can be used in order to tip the balance one way or the other. Muqarab, it means he's close, as if you're saying he's not there, he's not in the green zone, he's close. Salih, and so on. So these are the 6 ta'dil rankings that are common, and the number of terminologies that are used altogether are close to about 300 terms. What you see over here is probably 24, but if you look at the cumulative number of terms, there are so many. And that's why Hafiz ibn Hajar, when he saw all of this, he said, we need to simplify it. And I will talk about Hafiz ibn Hajar after this, inshallah. So up to this point, is there any questions about this paragraph over here? I'm going to take a sip of water. Or did everybody just fall asleep?
No, just a question that has to do with the question that was asked earlier about the binary nature of character and ta'dil. So you're saying over here, when we look at these 6 categories, we're taking into account the adil and the dabat of each person. However, the adil is binary, dabat is on gradation. So if we were to say that someone is not trustworthy, that automatically precludes them from all 6 of these categories, right? Because it's a binary thing, then they would go to tarjih.
This has been addressed by Hafiz ibn Hajar in his 2nd grading, because sometimes the scholars, they would refuse accept a narrator because in their opinion that he's not adil, even though his narrations might be accurate. So they would just give you a one final no. Later on, they would break it down and dissect it and say, why did you say no? If they find that it's because of his adala and because of his character, that scholar refused him, then we're going to see, okay, what's the issue with Adali? Because they found out that there were a lot of sensitivities between Ahlul Hadith and the Fuqaha, and sometimes they were too strict with them, and they considered some of their scholars not to be acceptable because they had different approach to how understanding halal and haram and deducing ruling from Quran and Sunnah. So yes, this in general is still dependent on the scholar who said it. And eventually Ibn Hajar, when you see later on, he is going to mention if there's an issue with his character, he would specify that, listen, this person is thiqa, but he has an issue with that thing with the character, and whether that other thing is sensitive enough to refuse him or not to refuse him. So that is something that evolved into what Ibn Hajar worked on later on. Any other questions? So the final paragraph over here. So what do we do with this? Like practically, okay, great. Now we are familiar with some terms on here, but practically, what do we do with these? Here. So rulings on these grading. The first three, so here, the three red circles, 1, 2, 3, their narrations are used as proofs, like they are good, they are dalil. You can use it as dalil. Although some are stronger than others, of course, 1 is stronger than 2, 2 is stronger than 3. But if we have an isnad that has a combination of narrators that are 1, 2, or 3, then this hadith is sahih. As long as obviously the other conditions of the hadith sahih, and it's connected, and it's there's nothing that conflicts with it, and there's no illah. If those other conditions are satisfied, if we have an isnad that has narrators that belong to the group 1, 2, and 3, then the isnad is considered sahih. But what about the 4th and the 5th? If we have an isnad that has people from the 4th and the 5th, their narrations cannot be used as proofs yet. Cannot. However, their hadith are collected and examined, although those at the 5th level are lower than at the 4th level. So what he's saying, that if we get an isnad that has people from the 4th and the 5th, if it's singular hadith, there's no other supporting material, then it's not enough to make it a hadith hasan. It's not enough. The sahih are the people who are in 1, 2, and 3. If they fall in the 4 and the 5, it's not good. However, if we have multiple asanid and they all fall in here 4 and 5, then they can limp together and they can hug each other, and maybe they can then stand as a group. And this is al-hasan li ghayrihi, when the hasan is because of external factors, which is power in numbers. So power in numbers is a privilege granted to those narrators or asanid that has narrators in groups 4 and 5. Now, when we say group 4 and 5, we can have an isnad that has, let's say, 5 narrators. 4 of them are from 1, 2, and 3, and just one of them is 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. The weakness in 4 and 5 brings the whole isnad down together. It doesn't need to have all of the 5 narrators in groups 4 and 5. As long as there's one person, one narrator in the isnad that belongs to 4 and 5, this isnad is not sahih, is not hasan, unless there are multiple things coming together. Remember, do you remember when we spoke, if we go back here, and that's what I said, we need to come back to that page, I think 18. Where Hadith al-Hasan, 28 maybe. Here. What page were we? Page 17, not 18. Yeah, here. If you remember, we looked at this hadith in here. This is Qutayba, probably he's group number 1. Ja'far ibn Sulaiman al-Dubai, this is the one, Abi Umran al-Jawni. I'm just arbitrarily, I'm going to say probably is group number 3. Abu Bakr al-Musa number 3. Okay, great. So this is Sahih quality, Sahih material, Sahih material, Sahih material, and this is Sahabi. We come to this guy in here, he's probably number 4. And that's why if you read here, again, we read, At-Tirmidhi said this hadith is Hasan Gharib. This is because the 4 narrators in the Asnad are Thiqat, which means they belong to the group 1, 2, 3, except Ja'far bin Sulaiman, he is Saduq. And that's where Saduq is number 4. This is where we are, number 4. Because we had an isnad that has people from 1, 2, and 3, but just one number 4 infiltrated, the hadith went down to becoming hadith Hasan. Now, as I said, the word Saduq in here, it means that Imam al-Tirmidhi in his mind, Ja'far bin Sulaiman Dubai had sufficient supporting material around him that gave him the capacity to rate the whole hadith as hadith Hasan, even though on his own it's not. There must have been some other evidences or supporting material around him that permitted him to rate this hadith as hadith Hasan. And don't forget, Imam al-Tirmidhi is also one of the soft scholars, which means he usually gives marks more than what the student deserves. So if he said Hasan, many times this Hasan is da'if. So you have to be careful about that. So this hadith might have been rated as Hasan by Imam Tirmidhi, but maybe scholars who came after Tirmidhi would look at the same isnad and say, no, this is not Hasan, this is da'if, and so on. So this is the section about the first 3. Let's do. So we said here, 1 plus 2 plus 3 belong here. This is 4 and 5. So this is Sahih. And this is Hasan to be with a question mark. Number 6, their narrations are not used as proofs. That's the end of the story. Not used as proof. They can never be raised. They are beyond repair. Okay, are they useless? No. However, their hadith are written, so you can write it down, collect it, not to be examined, because those who are examined are number 4 and 5. So why are we collecting it? It's not to be examined, but rather for purpose of i'tibar. This results from their apparent lack of dabt. And for the purpose of i'tibar, it means when we collect a number of hadith in order to see what is the quality of the narrator, how good or how bad he is. That's the only reason why this hadith is collected. So it's only as if they're being used as white mice or lab mice. And yeah, why? Because anyone who is used, these terms are used for him. يعتبر به مقارب صالح صالح الحديث يكتب حديثه are considered people who lack dabt. They have no dabt. They could be excellent characters. Dabt is very low. It's not 0. It's not negative, but it is not strong enough where you could build on it halal and haram. All right. Any questions? And now I want to give you something that is less theoretical and more practical. Any questions? As you can see, hadith in general is there's an ocean of information, and it's a person should not feel overwhelmed. It's just you are now just getting exposed to the ideas so that you can build a structure in your mind, and then you can start reading on your own and building more and more anchored information. So this one is just like 101. So don't feel that you are required to know all of these in details, and if you did not remember or forget or something you did not understand, then this is not your thing. No, this is a 101. I'm not trying to give you the very basics. Some other people might just say they will shield you from the whole big picture and just give you a little small piece so that you just, master the small piece. I did not want to do that. That was another approach. I just wanted to tell you that this is the general shape of the Hadith ocean, and at least feel that you have your arms around it, you have an understanding of how it is structured, and then you can build it from the ground up later on. So bear with me. This book here, we are still in the same topic. And now I jump to the book, which is Taqrib al-Tahdhib. By Ibn Hajar. So as I said, Ibn Hajar, when he saw that there are 300, 400 different terminologies used by the scholars to describe narrators, he said this is not practical. So he said, I'm going to do something facilitated. And this is what he did. He wrote his book, Taqrib al-Tahdhib, and he said, I'm going to use a very limited number of terminologies, and I'm going to skip all the others. So I'm going to use my own terms, but by whatever I mean by it, and everything else is not to be considered in this book. So this is an entry-level kind of book. It's a book for practice. It's many scholars used it, and many scholars don't use it. Some scholars would say, no, we cannot use this summarized version. We are researchers. We go to the sources. Others say, well, Ibn Hajar did this, and he has already digested the whole material, and this is his conclusion. It's you are regurgitating what Ibn Hajar already did and redoing it on your own again. Anyways, that's beside this argument is not what we want to spend our time on today, but this is the book that is definitely you need to use, because it's for us entry level. This is what will help us a lot find our way. So it's going to be similar to what we just read, but now it's Ibn Hajar and his own terminologies. So he says, انحصر لي الكلام. So I have summarized all of the wordings together, or the topic together, في 12 مرتبة. So in 12 rankings. So here are the rankings that Ibn Hajar said. He said ranking number 1, Sahaba, companions. He said every time a narrator is a companion, I will mention his name in this book. So this is the book that, where's my book? This is the book that I always bring to the class, and I pass him by, and you guys pulled out a couple of names from this book, and the PDF is available on the class material, and we will look into it and use it soon, inshallah. So he said, since the companions are narrators, I'm going to mention them in this book. And obviously, I'm not going to say whether they're other or Dabit, because they are beyond this. But I'm going to mention that they are Sahabi. When there is a Sahabi, I will mention the word Sahabi, so that for those who don't know, they will know that this is a Sahabi. So this is level number 1. So obviously, this does not coordinate with what we read over there. Rank number 2. Man ukkida madhuhu, who his praise was reconfirmed in any way, either that they say awsaq al-nas, he's the most thiqa, or bitakrir, or by repetition of the quality, like thiqa, either linguistically or by meaning, ka thiqatun hafiz. All of those are duplication, reconfirmation, emphasis of the thiqa, to make sure that you don't think that I am borderline thiqa. This person is beyond thiqa. He is a thiqa squared and cubed, if you want to. So this is the second level. So you would find that some of the narrators, Ibn Hajar would say, awsaq al-nas, thiqa hafiz, and so on. Third level, man ufrida, who was given a singular quality, أفرد يعني singular quality such as ثقة. متقن is like precise. ثبت it means like grounded, anchored. عدل. So this is where you start to see عدل. We said عدل ضابط before, and now Ibn Hajar, if he says in this book about any narrator that he's عدل, then okay, then he is from the third. To him, it's equivalent to ثقة. So you have to delete from your mind now that ثقة equal عدل ضابط, and this is only a character. In this book, which is an important book and a very practical book, when Ibn Hajar qualifies a person as عدل, he means ثقة. طيب. Number 4, من قصر عن الدرجة الثالثة قليلا. A little behind number 3. He's not strong enough to be here, but just failed it by a little bit. He's still good, but he's not there. And those are narrators that Ibn Hajar were called, who are صدوق. See this word? We come back to صدوق in here. For Ibn Hajar, صدوق أو لا بأس به, he's okay. ليس به بأس, same thing. This number 4 is Hasan material. Hasan Hadeeth. So Saduq that we passed before was in number 4/3 is different than Saduq here and this level in here. So every time you have to have a set of legend in your head. When you're reading in a certain book, you want to see what it means, and when you're reading in that book, it's a different thing. So in here, in this book, Saduq for Ibn Hajar, he's giving him a rating that is acceptable. He is not being borderline on anything. He is considering that this narrator is mainstream Hasan. All right. Next one, number 5. من قصر عن الرابعة قليلا. He is little behind number 4. And this answers Brother Sharif's questions a little bit later on. So what would he say? He would say Saduq, but he would add something to it. Saduq سيء الحفظ. He has a poor memory. So if Saduq alone is a pass, Saduq with a tail, Saduq سيء الحفظ with a poor memory, brings him down to this level in here. This is not Hadith Hasan. Unless you can do your own scrutinizing and due diligence on this hadith and find out that this is one of the hadiths that he did not make a mistake in it. But when he says Saduq Sayyi al-Hafaz, it means this person, in general, he's okay, but he has a lot of mistakes. And you cannot just go and give him a rubber stamping that, okay, Hassan, move on. No, you have to spend time to make sure that the narration that you're looking at does not fall among those hadiths that he made a mistake in it. Another term he might use is Saduq Yahim. Yahim is from Wahm, which means also makes mistake. He's Saduq, but he also has mistakes. These things are red flags. Whenever you see Saduq, Sayyi al-Hafiz, Saduq Yahim, it means be careful. There are hadiths out there that he contaminated them. He has a number of good hadiths. He deserves Saduq, but he also has mistakes that made some of his hadiths contaminated, and you have to be careful that you are not dealing with one of those hadiths that are mistaken. Another term, lahu awham. He has mistakes. Wahm is like being absent-minded and errors. Lahu awham. Yukhti, makes mistakes. He errs, makes a mistake. أو تغير بآخرة. It means he's changed in the end. And many narrators, when they became older, they started to make mistakes. Their vision became weak. They couldn't read well. Their memory became weak. So they would say that this person تغير بآخرة. It means if you would have to go and use the years and history and the chronology to see which of the narrators heard them when they were still at their best, and which heard them when they were at the end. You take the first group and you refuse the second group. So this narrators might have been at some point in time unacceptable, and you would find them that their hadith are acceptable, but if it's from the later ones, you have to be careful. And this is what I said about Brother Sharif question. وَيُلْتَحَقُ بِذَلِكَ, and you can annex to this concept in here, مَنْ رُمِيَ بِنَوْعٍ مِنَ الْبِدْعَةِ, those narrators who were accused of being adopting a bid'ah, such as Shi'ism, Qadar, it means not believing in destiny. Nasb, it means hating Sayyidina Ali. Irja, it means someone who considers Iman without actions is sufficient. Tajahum is someone who refuses to take the ahadith and the ayat and refuses to accept the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are mentioned in the Quran and the hadith. So those, if this narrators are narrating a hadith that does not fall into the subjects of the bid'ah that they are promoting, or that bid'ah that they have adopted, then we take their hadith. But if they are narrating hadith that is promoting their own, let's say someone who is in Shi'ism and narrating hadith about Sayyidina Ali, giving him like super status, and this hadith we never heard it anywhere else, we're going to tell him we don't accept this hadith from you. But then he goes and narrates something in the halal and the haram, we accept it. So this binary that I mentioned is also, we use it somewhere and we don't have to use it in a different place. And this is how this concept has evolved over time. All right. And finally here, the sixth, no, actually there's more, but let me stop in here. Do you have any comments or questions as where we are right now regarding this topic that Ibn Hajar has mentioned? This is a page that you probably would need to photocopy and just like look at it all the time, because this is where you would spend a lot of time. What we will do is that we'll get asanid and we'll look up their narrators, we'll try to make up a judgment on them, and we would have to come back in here and see what Ibn Hajar mentioned about them. So this is important that we all understand this one. It's not a lot of material, new material, but not a lot of material. So let me know if there's something I failed to explain well. Sure, Shabab. Seems like we're okay so far. طيب. Number 6, من ليس له من الحديث إلا قليل. He has very few hadith. It's someone who maybe has 2 or 3 hadith, no more than maybe 5, very, very little number of hadith. ولم يثبت فيه ما يترك حديثه من أجله. There's no cause to drop his hadith. But we don't have enough material to make him thiqa or saduq or anything. So what we call him, وإليه الإشارة. So he's saying, I will qualify him as maqbul. This is the term. Maqbul is what he would use. So maqbul is accepted. حيث يتابع, whenever there's a parallel, whenever there's another hadith that in line with what he's narrating, then we will consider this person to be maqbul. However, if there's nothing else in parallel with him, we will call him layyin al-hadith. Layyin al-hadith. Layyin al-hadith is a term that also is quite used, which means his hadith is soft. And when you say layyin al-hadith, it means you cannot depend. His hadith is not strong, is not solid. It's soft hadith. Like take it with a grain of salt. We don't know who he is. This hadith came from his way. There's no way that we can be sure about the quality of his hadith. So this is the group number 6. So I hope you're not too like don't try to map and to relate this table that we read over here with the table we read in the book over there. They overlap at places and they don't overlap at others. It's good to understand the other one just passively, but we would need to know this one in a very good way. So I think I want to stop in here regarding this part of ta'dil, and then I would like to look at the asanid and start to do some practical name extractions in order to see if we're capable of building the same conclusion as the scholars do. I don't know if you are capable of pulling up the Taqrib al-Tahdhib. I did post it as a material. So what I'm going to do now, where's Taqrib? Oh, I did. All right, found it. So this is the Taqrib that we are reading from. There are multiple copies of it, or let's say editions of it, and this is the one that is by Sheikh Muhammad Awami. We shall stop in about 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes, probably 5 minutes. So if you want to buy one, you get the one that is by Sheikh Muhammad Awami. All right. So what we want to do is, I want to go to pull the name of Bahz ibn Hakim. Remember the isnad that we said Bahz ibn Hakim an abihi an jaddihi. So let's see Bahz. Okay, we're not gonna scroll in here. Go page 50. More. Page 100. Yeah, good. Let's go further. Page 150. Yeah. Page 125. So we are now in the letter Ba. I'm gonna make it a little bigger. So Ba, Bishr, Bashir, Bakr. Okay, we must sit in here. Where is Bahz? Here it is. So we said that when we're speaking in this chapter about Hadith al-Hasan, he said that the asanid that are at the top of the Hadith al-Hasan is like Bahz ibn Hakim an abihi an jaddihi. So here it is Hadith, this is the Bahz ibn Hakim ibn Muawiyah, and he mentioned that he is Saduq. This is Ibn Hajar. So we said Saduq ibn Hajar, it means similar to La Ba'sa bihi and Laysa bihi Ba's, and this is pure Hasan material. So I'm going to show you here. Remember here, number 4, he's just a little bit behind Thiqa, and we call him Saduq. And we said this is Hadith Hasan, this is Hasan material. No two ways about it, according to Ibn Hajar. So Bahz ibn Hakim ibn Muawiyah is Saduq, which what we accept. Okay, he narrated this hadith, Bahz ibn Hakim, he narrated it from his father, and his father narrated it from his grandfather, who's Muawiyah. So let's see his father, Hakim ibn Muawiyah. So let's go to the letter Ha and see what he said about Hakim. Let's go 150. Jaha, we're getting there. But there's going to be a lot of Hassan and Hussein. So we're going to go 170. With Hassan. But في Hussein كمان. We're going to go through. Okay, so we're Hata, Baqa. There we go. Hakam, 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 Hakim. There we go. There we go. Hakim ibn Muawiyah ibn Haida. So the Sahabi, who is the grandfather, his name is Muawiyah ibn Haida. So this is the father, and Bahz is the grandchild. Hakim ibn Muawiyah, the father of Bahz, Saduq. So now we have two Saduqs back to back. We had spoken, by the way, previously about the ranking, the generational ranking. Like this, I don't want to talk about it now, but I'm just trying to tell you that this is in here. And this will tell you where do we see his hadith. So the Sunan al-Arba'a, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi have narrated for him. And al-Bukhari, he narrated in him, but not in his Sahih al-Bukhari. I think. Hata, it's funny. It means Bukhari narrated for him, but mu'allaq. It's not in the core of Bukhari, innama mu'allaq, which we spoke about last time. So Saduq, and obviously if we go to Muawiyah ibn Haida, we're going to find that he is Sahabi. So Muawiyah will be in probably 600. No, before 500. A little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, Muaz, Muawiyah. We passed him. Muawiyah ibn Haida, Sahabi. Nazar al-Basra, he lived in Basra and he died in Khurasan, and he is the grandfather of Bahz. Where do we find his hadith? In the four Sunan and Mu'allaq and al-Bukhari. So we have now the hadith of Muawiyah, and his son is Hakim, and his son is Bahz. This is Saduq, and this is Sahabi. So this is Hasan material. This is Hasan material. So this hadith that comes from those has satisfied 3 of the 5 conditions for the hadith sahih, which is connection. It is connected by Adl Dabit, and then we still have to find if the matan or the hadith that comes in here, does it conflict with anything else? And did any of the great scholars look at it and find there's an inconspicuous mistake in it? And so on. We will do more exercises, inshallah. But please look at this book, Taqrib al-Tahdhib. It's there on the material. Pull an isnad, go through it, try to do the same simple exercise in here. It will get you a long way, and then we will build on it, inshallah. I think with this, I have covered the material I had in mind for today. I open the floor for comments and questions, and if there's anything else. Anything else on the brothers and sisters? Can you guys please type your names in the chat box so that I can get the attendance? That would be great, wallahi. And next week, inshallah, I will be in London. I would not have yet traveled, but the week after, I would not be in Canada. I would be in Abu Dhabi. So if it's 6 o'clock in the evening in here, plus 9, it's going to be 3 o'clock past midnight over there. I don't think it's going to be practical for me to do the halqa at 3 a.m. My sister would kill me. So I might just do a couple of recordings, or if you are willing to change the time to make it a little bit more reasonable, or move it to the weekend, please share your thoughts on the group and email me with the thoughts. But yeah, I overlooked the fact of the 9-hour difference, so it's not doable at 3 o'clock in the morning Abu Dhabi's time. Khair. I think we'll leave it here. The weekend works well, Akh Sharif. If the other brothers and sisters can, confirm that weekends work for them, that would be great. I will send with.
I think you should enjoy your vacation, and when you come back, we can.
Wallahi, Ukhti, to be honest, it's not a vacation. Unfortunately, my sister is not feeling well, and the family is pulling together to be with her. My turn is that period of time. I'll be working, like my work duty. I'm not taking off from work. I'm just going to be working from there, and up to 2 o'clock Ontario time will be 11 over there, and then I would have to ask somebody else to cover for me. But still, I don't mind actually. If we can find a time, I would love to do to continue with the material in here. I don't have a problem. But 6 o'clock on Wednesday is not the time. I will ask Sister Neda to send maybe a poll or a query to see if we can get a consensus, or at least we can have the majority of people agree on a time. And those who cannot join, unfortunately, there still will be the recording, inshallah. طيب, Allah yajzikum al-khair wa barik fikum. We will meet, inshallah, next week in person at the masjid. And if unfortunately the weather is not good, then we will do this again. I don't know what your feedback on the using the streaming method. For me, it's easier to put notes and it's clearer to you to see, but there's no face-to-face interaction. So I don't know if you guys are sleeping or you're doodling or you are attentively following me. I have no idea. So it feels like as if I'm talking to myself to a certain degree. Allah yabarak fikum, Allah ya'afikum jami'an. So feedback will be great if you can pass some feedback. I think we'll put the questions in the survey with Sister Nada, and you can share your ideas and your thoughts about streaming. I'll let you go here. 7:40. Somebody is in the masjid and they can catch Salat al-Isha. Please make dua for me and for us. And Jazakumullahu khairan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Sister Nada, you can stop now if you'd like the recording.